Hi, I'm Daryl Stewart, and you're looking at my grandsons, Ryan and Hunter. They're 3 and 4 years old, and they're great kids. Generally speaking, they're happy kids. They play at the park, they watch Thomas the Train on TV, Ryan goes to school. But there's another side to their lives, and it's an ugly childhood thing called abuse. It's going unaddressed by the authorities here in Louisville, Kentucky. This is Ryan's graduation picture from pre-kindergarten, but this is Hunter's arm after he was bitten in his own home by his mother. And it's not the only abuse that the boys have suffered. Ryan and Hunter claim that they're frequently not fed, they're not dressed, they're locked in their bedroom for hours on end. They also roam the house for hours while their mother sleeps. They get nothing to eat or drink. Ryan got so thirsty one time, Hunter got so thirsty one time that he found a bottle of cough syrup and he drank the whole bottle and was violently ill afterward. Ryan claims that his stepfather choked him, threw him across the room, and rubbed his nose in a puddle of urine like a dog being housebroken. So after the biting incident, Hunter's grandmother talked to Child Protective Services. They investigated and substantiated the abuse, but you won't believe what happened next.
I was stunned when CPS left them in the home. They did a very superficial investigation. They didn't talk to me, they didn't talk to my wife, even though my wife made the complaint. Now, their job is supposed to be to protect our kids. So my stepson went down to the courthouse and took out an EPO on the boy's behalf. That worked. The sheriff's department went out and served the EPO, and my stepson picked them up. So they were safe for about 3 weeks.
After 3 weeks, the EPO came up for a hearing in front of Judge Stephen George, who had to decide whether to dissolve it or keep it in force. We took 3 witnesses who could testify to abuse that they had witnessed and appeared at the hearing prepared to give testimony. We expected that Judge George would keep it in force so that my stepson could keep the boys. We were somewhat surprised at the outcome.
I felt like we had a pretty good chance of getting the EPO extended and having my stepson keep the boys. He has joint custody. There's no reason that he shouldn't be allowed to keep them. We had 3 witnesses at the hearing on the EPO. We had photos of Hunter's little mangled arm. I couldn't see any reason that there ought to be a problem. The problem was clear and demonstrable that there had been physical abuse.
And it's not what we hadn't figured on was Judge Stephen George. He locked the courtroom and wouldn't allow the witnesses to testify.
I have to admit I was pretty surprised. I guess I'm a little naive, but I expected that a man charged with the duty to protect my grandsons would at least hear the witnesses before he made a decision. Now, I'm dead certain there's no legal reason the witnesses couldn't have been called. I read the local rules of court. From what I read, we had an absolute legal right to give that testimony, and he had a legal responsibility to hear it. And instead, he locked us out of the courtroom, sent those boys back to their mother for more abuse. He said he didn't have enough evidence to keep the EPO in force. Well, maybe if he'd looked at the pictures and let the witnesses testify, he'd have had enough evidence. I was just shocked by the whole thing.
At this point, I began to get the feeling that the system was not working. This is not the way the system is supposed to work to protect our children.
Well, I think it's very clear that the justice system is failing here. Look at the failures that we have so far. CPS did not investigate the thing adequately, did not remove the children from the home, which they should have done. The Crimes Against Children's Unit will not investigate it. The county attorney will not issue an arrest warrant for assault unless the Crimes Against Children's Unit with the Metro Police Department recommends it. Now, if you bit me on my arm and left big tooth marks, I could go down immediately and get a warrant for your arrest. That's assault. But Hunter is a 3-year-old, totally unable to defend himself, and he can't get a warrant because Crimes Against Children won't investigate it and the county attorney won't issue a warrant. Then we go to court with a judge who will not even hear the witnesses who are present waiting to testify, waiting outside the courtroom, by the way, for 3 hours outside a locked courtroom to testify, never allowed in and never allowed to testify. The only witness allowed to testify was the lady from CPS who had to defend her decision to leave them in the home. I'm sorry, I see a total failure of the justice system here, and I think the people of Louisville, Kentucky have a right to know how the people they elected are fulfilling their duties. From my point of view, very poorly, and people need to know that.
After thinking it over, I realized that secrecy is very important to these people. The judges lock the courtrooms and lock the public out of the courtrooms that we're paying for. I decided to make this thing public, so I talked with 3 TV stations, Channel 32, Channel 41, and WHAS TV. They weren't the least bit interested in the story, would not cover it. So I couldn't see any other way to bring this to public attention except to go down to the courthouse and let people know what's going on. I made myself a sign, I made myself flyers, and you're looking here at the Jefferson County Courthouse.
These are elected officials. They're not appointed by God. They need to be unelected. People need to know. So I have a big sign and I have little flyers that tell the whole story. I pass them out to anybody who stops and looks at the sign, indicates any interest. I ask them to read the flyer and pass it on so that people will know what's going on with justice in the family court system here in Louisville.
After 3 weeks passing out flyers down in front of the courthouse, we had another hearing in family court. This time it was in front of Judge Joan Byer, and it was a motion for a custody hearing trying to reevaluate the custody of the boys and get them out of the home.
Oh, I'm recording. I know it's hard to believe, but it gets even worse. We went to a second hearing. Our attorney filed an 8-page motion to have a custody hearing to redetermine custody. Right now, there is joint custody on the boys. So we go into court. This time, at least, though, we did get into court. That's some type of improvement. We went into court. The judge had not read the motion, confused our case with another case in front of her, had not read the motion. We submitted 3 affidavits, sworn affidavits, as evidence because we wanted to make sure we had everything on the record this time. We didn't want any mistake about that. We had photographs. We had documents from former CPS hearings where the boys had been removed from the home already for domestic violence. The judge didn't read the motion, didn't read the affidavits, didn't look at the evidence, and didn't rule. We still don't know what the judge has done 3 days later. Nobody has received anything. She didn't tell us how she was going to rule. We know nothing. This was an incredible display of judicial ineptness. The only time she really even showed any interest in the thing was when she, of her own volition, asked if my stepson was paying his child support. She's not concerned about the safety of the boys, but she's real concerned about whether or not their mother is getting money. This is a story that's not going away. As things continue to progress, I'll add videos and try to update you on what's going on. In the meantime, you can help Ryan and Hunter. Call Kentucky Governor Steve Beshear. His number is area code 502-564-2611. Call and demand an investigation of the family court system in Louisville, Kentucky. Let's find out why they won't do their job and protect our children. Thank you very much for watching. God bless America, and God bless all of you.